Also, when dealing with anyone, black or white, the Bible even tells us in Matthew 10:16, be as shrewd as a snake, but as harmless as a dove. And to me, that mindset, that attitude was embodied by the character of Ma Rainey, played by Viola Davis. She got everything she wanted throughout the film. What's good, everybody? This is Corey. I'm going to be doing a movie review and a bit of a deep dive spoiler chat into Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Just came out on Netflix. The main reason you should be watching this thing is because this is Chadwick Boseman's final performance, and for that, it's worth the price of admission if you was going to see it at a movie, and it's definitely worth putting up on Netflix and spending just an hour and 30 minutes of your time. This movie has a bit of everything into it. The first 30 minutes, you're going to be laughing real hard. The next 30 minutes, you're going to see a whole lot of dramatic acting and have quite a bit of introspection thrust upon you, like looking inwardly as an African American people, as well as just an audience member. You'll be forced to think about some difficult things. But I must say, with no spoilers, the first 30 minutes of this movie hits real different for black people. The first 30 minutes to me and my wife felt like we was just watching our older uncles argue, and it was great to see. It was hilarious for those first 30 minutes, and then it took a very serious tonal shift, and both of us were taken off guard because neither one of us knew exactly what to expect going into watching this movie. As far as a movie review is concerned, I would have to give this thing a 10 out of 10. It was great. Again, you get a wide range of things that you were expecting. For the most part, I know this is billed as Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman, but this is really Chadwick Boseman's show, and he commands it for the most part. Both Chadwick and Viola were amazing throughout the film, but very, very, very important that you don't sleep. Do not sleep on the performances of Coleman Domingo, who is from Fear the Walking Dead, and Glenn Turman, who I know from A Different World sitcom from back in the 90s. Those two performances were exceptional as well. You will be highly impressed with most of the cast of characters throughout this film. Those four standing out the most, Chadwick standing out the most. Great movie to watch. But now let's get into a bit of more of a deep dive, and I will do some light spoilers here. I'm not going to go into details about who said what and who did what, but I will talk about some elements of the movie moving forward. So if you haven't seen it yet, go and watch that, come back, and then see if you picked up the same things that I picked up, really coming from a spiritual angle. So let's talk. Chadwick Boseman acted his ass off. He played a crazy person, and when I say a crazy person, I don't mean necessarily like mentally insane, but what I do mean, he played a person that was driven by the wrong things, and because he was driven by those wrong things, it caused him to do and say ridiculous stuff. Let's get into that. So I'm a believer in Jesus, right? I believe that Jesus is the only way to heaven. I believe that God is all knowing, all seeing. He has the power to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. That worldview specifically was challenged directly multiple times in this film by Chadwick Boseman. Matthew 10:29 says, "Not a sparrow falls from the sky without your Father in heaven knowing about it." And that scripture, again, was taken to task by Chadwick Boseman's character, Levy. Levy was so upset, so torn up about things that happened to him in his past, specifically to his parents, that he questioned the existence of God, and if God did exist, he questioned the nature of God. I want to say that is a well-deserved question to ask, but only to a certain segment of people. If you look at the nature of God as we know it from the Bible, but then you transpose that against what the character of Levy experienced and what most people in the world can probably relate to at some point in their life, they can relate to the character of Levy having to go through any type of hardship. It can cause you to question who God is and do you really have that power. But I believe that scripture is used to defend other scriptures, and the one scripture that defends Matthew 10:29 to me is Romans 8:28, And Romans 8:28 says, all things work together for the good of those who love God. Well, that's the problem. Levy didn't love God. Levy hated God. He hated God for what happened to both of his parents. He let the hatred and revenge that drove his father drive his business dealings, which everyone knows. Any musician probably watching this cringed when the businessman took Levy's songs and said, I'll take these for you. Because anyone who knows anything about the music industry knows that you never let anyone have your songs or sell the rights to your songs. But he's thinking in the mindset of his father, I'll smile and bow to you now, and then I'll get my revenge on you or my payback over you later. Which is not the way you operate. It's just not the way you operate. Had Levy been reconciled with God, had he known God for himself and knew the word for himself, he would have knew the right moves to make throughout this movie. To me, looking at the character of Levy, the role and the move for him should have been buy my time. Stay a part of this band, keep making friends, keep building bridges and not burning them. Also, when dealing with anyone, black or white, the Bible even tells us in Matthew 10:16, be as shrewd as a snake, but as harmless as a dove. And to me, that mindset, that attitude was embodied by the character of Ma Rainey, played by Viola Davis. She got everything she wanted throughout the film. Yes, she had to puff herself up and get aggressive from time to time, but she knew that until I sign these papers, I have them under my thumb. I can get what I want. It would have showed up in Levy as well if Levy had, one, been reconciled to God, been healed from the trauma that he experienced, and thinking clearly, soundly, not thinking based on that revenge pattern, that pattern of, oh, you get me this time and I'll get you back later. That is not the way you operate. He did play a fool, but he wasn't a fool because he didn't know things. He was a fool because of what drove him, that anger, that bitterness. If I have to leave you with anything, I would have to say, don't let anger or trauma guide you in your life. Be reconciled to God and let his ways become your ways. Saying that doesn't mean that life is going to become unicorn rainbows for you. You're still going to encounter trouble. You're still going to have problems. But you'll know at least it's all going to work out for your good as long as you love God. That's all I got to say about this and this topic in this movie. It was great. I enjoyed it. Enjoy yourself. Guard your heart. Come back and see me for more movies. Spoiler chats.